Brought to you by Penguin.
The Taiwan Story, written and read by me, Kerry Brown. Introduction. What does it mean to be Taiwanese today? To see the name of the place where you live figure in so many news reports, most of them stating that if there is a Third World War, this is where it will start. To have think tanks, media commentators and politicians speak about you as a problem. To be saluted as one of the world's key economies because your country produces the most advanced semiconductors, which the rest of the planet relies upon. To know that, despite this, 90% of the leaders of those other countries don't actually recognize your home as a country at all. And that above all, you are seen as sitting, through accident of birth, at the heart of arguably the greatest geopolitical challenge of the 21st century. To be Taiwanese in the 21st century means that the outside world sees you as part of a matter that needs to be managed, a conundrum to be solved, a potential flashpoint that needs to be contained. You're involved in something many people, particularly if they are other governments, try to keep ambiguous in order to preserve the current status quo, because they fear what might happen if anyone dares to question it. To be Taiwanese these days means to have a stronger feeling than most people in the world that your fate is not entirely in your own hands. All it needs is one American president to say they recognize Taiwan as a country, or one Chinese leader to say they want Taiwan to return to their fold immediately, and your life will be turned upside down. Being Taiwanese has many meanings, but one thing that most people who are citizens of this island wish they had more of is normality. For the situation concerning Taiwan and its status is anything but normal. I'm not Taiwanese, but for more than 30 years I have dealt with what is euphemistically called the Chinese-speaking world, within which China and Taiwan sit alongside one another. I've ended up with a complex set of experiences and interpretations of what Taiwan means. They arise from my many visits to the island since the turn of the millennium, and from my friendships with people in and from Taiwan, and because most of my professional life has been spent researching and writing about Taiwan's partner in this issue, China. I often feel as if I've ended up with two distinct brains. One I use when I go to the People's Republic of China, PRC, a country whose 1.4 billion strong population constitutes a fifth of humanity. For decades, I've listened to the opinions, histories, attitudes and ideas about Taiwan expressed by Chinese officials, friends and colleagues. Often these occur at interminable public occasions, such as formal banquets, with those that work in the administration or government-supported conferences and seminars. Sometimes they crop up in the middle of totally unrelated informal conversations. I'm told that Taiwan is China, that it has always been part of China. With a stern, admonishing look, people tell me that it needs to come back to China and that outsiders had better keep out of the matter. At the beginning of my career, before I knew much of the history of why these two places today have the relationship they do, I could tell that this was something that people in China felt extremely strongly about. They had a limited appetite for hearing the opinions about this issue of any outsider like me, especially when they ran contrary to what they themselves believed. But I had the reverse experience in Taiwan. It was like stepping across some magical threshold from one order of reality into another, where everything was instantaneously turned upside down. Those opinions and ideas about the island that were made across the waters were spurious, people told me. But, they quickly added, they were claims made by a bully. They would go on to argue that China was a place that Taiwan had never really belonged to, but with which it had had merely a loose, sporadic association in the past. As I've travelled back and between these two environments over the years, I've had to acknowledge more and more that Taiwan is indeed different, though the crucial issue is to what extent. Sometimes I feel like I am teetering on the edge of accepting that it is, in fact, a completely separate place.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?